Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 2 of season 4 of our F125 VCARB driver career mode. Almost got it wrong, we're only 2 episodes in. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Albert Park, Australia, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. It's safe to say, the start of a new season, an all-new adventure with an all-new team, and it went pretty damn well for us. Things kind of fell into place. We took a huge gamble with strategy, but we lead the Drivers' World Championship ahead of Max Verstappen. Yuki Tsunoda narrowly missed out on Grand Prix victory as well. And of course, obviously, Oscar Piastri, a late race mechanical failure, means that the Australian curse forever lives on. But Red Bull and VCARB as well, top 2 in the Constructors' Championship, courtesy of Isaac Hadjar as well, able to pick up a point for the team there. So all good news, all confident building from that season opener. But if we take a look at some of the upgrades, we've actually now dropped behind Alpine in terms of vehicle performance inside the game. Now, we have got a lot of upgrades that are currently in the works after this weekend, but this first season is going to be a tough development race to try and compete with a lot of our rivals as well, as it actually looks like Hadjar's upgrade failed on the car as well. So really not ideal, and obviously we're going to have to try and put some work in then over the course of this weekend to try and obviously make sure, you know, this first season is critical with a new team. You know, obviously trying to make sure that you're racking up R&D, trying to make sure that you're getting lots of upgrades on the car. I think sensibly the goal come the end of Season 1 would try to be better than Aston Martin, kind of on the brink of those big 4 teams as well. But of course, only time will tell. If you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. At the time we're recording, we are less than 100 subscribers away from 15k here on the channel. But yeah, without further ado then, let's return to Shanghai.
Welcome along to Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen, where it's Chinese Grand Prix weekend. But before we can race, we need to qualify. And who's going to take that coveted pole position? How will our grid line up? We're about to find out. Welcome to qualifying.
Well, after last weekend's success, I think this weekend is really going to expose what a lot of you guys had warned me about with the VCARB inside F125. Just through free practice, this thing has felt a lot more of a handful than it ever did out in Australia. So yeah, I think maybe some of its weaknesses, kind of the weight of the car, its inability sometimes to kind of get the front where you need it, might start to become a bit of an issue here, but only time will tell. I'm going to change up the sprint qualifying format for this series. I'm just going to be doing one-shots, just because I prefer doing it, and it means the videos aren't ridiculously long as well there. So yeah, it kind of just means, obviously, on a sprint weekend especially, it feels a bit more sprint-esque, rather than actually feeling more of a marathon than a normal Grand Prix does inside this series. But yeah, hoping, obviously, we can try and put the car up inside your top 8. And of course, goal number 1 is make sure that we set a nice, clean, tidy lap time ready for Sprint Race Saturday as well. Grand Prix Sunday, though, looks like we could be in for some changeable conditions, which might add a bit of spice. But obviously, yeah, last weekend was effectively a one-shot qualifying session out in Albert Park with the rain. So once again, then, everybody's only really got one chance to try and get the lap nailed. And once again, Oscar Piastri looks to be one of the strongest competitors so far on the anchors. Oh, the 100-meter board there, and we've completely locked the rears up. And that might cost us a huge amount of speed as we try and get the power down off the exit of the corner. A critical error in a session where you cannot make those kind of errors on the run to the line. P16. That has been a wake-up call. Well, there we go then. Lando Norris, a bit anomalous during the Australian Grand Prix last weekend, but pole position here for Sprint Race Saturday will mean that he is right back in the picture. Oscar Piastri there, just 9,000ths of a second away. So every qualifying session so far has been decided by less than 1/100th of a second. Max Verstappen third, just ahead of Hamilton, and Antonelli there, a brilliant effort to go P5, just ahead of Charles Leclerc. But yeah, obviously that mistake for us, though, we did still out-qualify Isaac Hadjar. I don't think it cost us many positions. I think we might just have been ahead of Ocon and Gasly anyway, but still rather annoying.
We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before we head into the braking zone of turn 14.
Okay, mate, try your best. With a bit of luck, we might just get that points finish.
Well, I think we're going to need a lot of luck to try and get a points finish from down in P16. I really am going to take this sprint race to try and learn the car ready for the main event. Sometimes that's all you can do when you've qualified down the order, and always why I still feel sprints are a little bit peculiar in Formula 1. Let's get racing, though, here from Shanghai. First time this weekend, the 5 red lights are coming on. Oh, and a mighty long hole, but it is lights out, and away we go there, off to a fairly cool, calm and collected start. We'll let the two Frenchmen battle out just in front of me. No, we won't. They're going to slow down immediately in towards turn 1 then. I'm just going to try and use my typical plan, try and wedge the car over the inside curb there, and just drag it through the apex, and, well, that's gone pretty well for us. Immediately up about 5 places. Maybe can try and make it 6 there, as we have a look around the outside. Oh, of Alexander Albon, who rather aggressively cuts across my nose down the hill. Is immediately then trying to make it very clear he wants to defend into the hairpin. He can do that. I'm just going to try and have a look. Whoa, right around the outside there, as again, he will get some oversteer off at turn 3 across me. I will get some oversteer through turn 5 across him. Up the hill, though, through 6 and 7. See, not quite flat out through the first one with a bit of fuel on board. See Antonelli and Charles Leclerc there having a bit of a ding-dong up in front, and Charles Leclerc has been able to get around the outside there. One of the McLarens has bolted off the start. I don't know whether that's Piastri or Lando Norris even, I should say. But that's the big thing with this V-Carb then. It loves to lock the rears. That was one of the big ones that you guys warned me about. And obviously did that in qualifying. Done that early on in the race. Going to try and move my bias a little bit more further forward. Might do that and obviously reduce some of the brake pressure. Of course, if you need some setups for F125, Matt212 Racing. Link in the description as well there. But let's see, they were, I think, almost 3 wide. Alonso, Leclerc. No, that's the cars even further up the road. So Hamilton and Max Verstappen then once again trying to get involved. As it looks like, yeah, Lando Norris has gone in this sprint race. So unless he bins it or has a mechanical failure, he looks like he's probably won this one already. Well, as down the inside of sights, we will go through turn 1. Very, very weird to try and get used to this V-Carb. Sometimes the front responds, other times it kind of just doesn't. Oh, Yuki, Tsunoda's gone. There you go then, we're going to be up into the top 10. Oh, sorry, into the points, I should say, as I was hoping we might be able to get a run on Tsunoda down this back straight, but haven't even needed to. Second race in a row then that the car directly in front of me is blown up. But yeah, up inside your top 8 then. I said it was going to be a miracle to score points here. And by the end of lap 2, we are already there. Still seeing Hamilton and Verstappen duking out in front. So now both McLarens are gone. Nelly then, great qualifying session yesterday, but a bit like Verstappen just in front of him. Really struggling to match the race pace of some of the other cars around him, as here goes Fernando. Around the outside of Kimi. Can we try and find the way around the Mercedes man as well? Nope, he's going to try and... Actually, I think they wanted to dive back down the inside of Alonso, but we will go late on the brakes then, all the way around the outside of the Mercedes. I mean, every single lap we just seem to be gaining spots. But yeah, I think Alonso might end up sensibly being the last one we can try and get here. We're going to try and see if we can get a run back in towards turn 1 there, as down the inside of the Spaniards. 10 places gained so far in this sprint race. That's pretty much been a masterclass in how to do it early on. Unless I can get in the range of Max, though, I think we're going to struggle. Surprise then, I think Alonso and Antonelli are both queuing up to try and find a way back past me then as we make our way down the back straight. I don't know where George Russell is. He seems to still be way down the order then. So another tough weekend so far for him. So Fernando there, I thought he might leave me an avenue around the outside, which he's going to on the exit. Of course, great to see Fernando Alonso back in this series, of course, after that win out in Abu Dhabi Season 2. Took another year out of the sport, but has come back with Aston Martin now, and is again going to get the run on me by the time we get into 1. I might sit behind him, try and charge back up the pack for a little while. I do always find it kind of funny that this V-Carb IRL this year has basically been, you know, very well regarded because of how drivable it's been. Seen a lot of reports stating it's probably the most drivable car on the grid. Obviously, especially now the McLaren seems to have tapered off in terms of performance a little bit more over the last few weekends. But inside F125, I think people would argue it's arguably the most difficult car to drive in comparison. Obviously, I've been streaming a Nico Hulkenberg career mode here on this channel, and then also over on my Twitch at Matt212 if you're interested. And yeah, honestly, the VCARB handles pretty much as badly as that one then. His first warning of the day. Luckily, I've got one more that I can use up before the end. But yeah, I feel like I'm just hanging on to Fernando Alonso. And I'm getting a little bit nervous further back because Russell now is finally in contention and looking very racy. Well, it looks like further up the road then, both Lando Norris, even Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton here really beginning to struggle, almost into the back of Alonso. That would have certainly left us with some struggles right towards the end, but George Russell now desperate to try and get inside the DRS range here as Hamilton really struggling to make a bit of a mistake out of the final corner. If I could get past Alonso now, maybe we could try and get in the DRS range of Lewis. By the time we get out into the back straight then, not close enough that time round. And the problem is now I've used a load of battery as well, but I think the Ferrari's got wing damage because he is dropping bags of time through those first couple of corners. Actually, I don't think he does. I think I couldn't see any on either of those end plates here. So now, Lewis Hamilton, 7-time Formula 1 World Champion, is getting chased down by both 2-time Formula 1 World Champions on this current grid there. Fernando Alonso and myself. And it looks like, yeah, Hamilton, he's going to be right on the back foot by the time we get round towards the end of the lap. The problem is we're closing in on him, but George Russell is still closing in on me here. Tyre wear warning light has already flashed up. That doesn't bode well for the Grand Prix, that these mediums get absolutely obliterated. But will Alonso be able to do anything then against Hamilton? Can we possibly get close enough to try and get there as well? Hamilton, sliding around. You can see trying to get the power down out into the back straight. He's still drifting. Lewis Hamilton there, a huge moment as he tries to get the power down, but with George Russell now waiting in the wings, Ferrari, Aston Martin, VCARB and Mercedes all are going to be battling for P5 come the end of this sprint race. Alonso can't do anything against Hamilton. Russell tries to have a look down my inside. We will try and go around the outside of Fernando down at literally the final corner there as Norris, he will claim the victory. In this sprint race there, contact with Fernando. We will cut the final corner, but we will hang on for 6th.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Well, there we go then, having a look at our sprint race results. Lando Norris, I said at the end of lap 1 he'd probably won this one, and he did. 5.5 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc there. Max Verstappen in 3rd, Oscar Piastri, he'll be disappointed that his pace kind of fell apart right towards the end there, but Hamilton barely hanging on ahead of myself, Alonso and George Russell rounding out your point scorers. 10 places gained during that sprint race. Very, very happy with that. And it'll explain why we never saw George. I think I got past him through turn 1. I just never kind of realised maybe he was shuffled out to the outside of the circuit as well there. But happy days for us. Hajar apparently DNF'd on the very last lap as well. So disappointing for our teammate. 2 Honda units going up in smoke early on this weekend. That is not what we want to see. Well, here we go again then. Once more back in one-shot qualifying, and hopefully we can try and get a decent lap hooked up here. Obviously made that mistake in sprint qualifying, but our sprint race pace looked to be pretty competitive. That being said though, changeable conditions this weekend are sure to spice things up as well. Looks like we could have a dry to wet to dry Grand Prix here in Shanghai. That usually delivers some drama and some chaos. Let's not forget Esteban Ocon winning all the way back at the start of this entire series in Season 1. Literally here in a Haas car as I've had a DRS failure in a one-shot qualifying. What are the odds of that inside this game? That's ridiculous then, and well, already probably running a bit more downforce around this circuit than a lot of my rivals will be. That's insane. I think I've only ever had that once before, and, well, I think the lap was going to be over anyway. I think we're starting at the back of the field. How is this V car breaking down in one-shot quali? That is beyond stupid. Well, no prizes there for guessing where we ended up come the end of qualifying, but Oscar Piastri, 2nd pole position of the season so far there. 4 tenths clear of Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris, who won the sprint race, 6 tenths away from his teammate. Isaac Hajar, though, brilliant effort to get himself inside the top 10. Ollie Behrman, a big turnaround from sprint qualifying to the real one. But lining up then at the rear of the field, that's pretty disappointing, but again, a lot can change as we head into the race.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight, before the cars brake into the tight hairpin at turn 14. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Fernando Alonso. Behrman, Russell, Sainz, and Isaac Hadjar. Bortoleto, Albon, Esteban Ocon, and Antonelli. Hulkenberg, Colapinto, Pierre Gasly, and Lance Stroll. Mr. Monaco, and Yuki Tsunoda rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Well, I'm convinced we've got the speed. I'm not convinced we've got the car, though, Mark. Definitely struggling for pace and momentum this weekend, or at least consistency over one lap. So my goal is pretty simple. Start on the hards and take him as far as I possibly can and pray that the rain arrives just after everybody else makes a pit stop. It's high risk, high reward here, because obviously if we lose the DRS range of other cars, then this thing is a bit of a sitting duck in a straight line. But we made up a lot of spots in the sprint. Let's see if we can try and do the same today then. The 5 red lights are on for the Chinese Grand Prix. And it is race time then here as Yuki Tsunoda also opting to start on the hard compound tyres. So clearly our own strategist and Red Bulls there maybe in cahoots down in towards turn 1. Again, my normal plan of latch onto that inside curb and try and gain as many places as we can there. Looks like quite a few people have actually opted for the harder compound, as once again we find ourselves around the outside of Alex Albon. And once again I find myself making up plenty of spots then down at turn 1. 6 places gained then immediately almost up into the points, as Isaac Hadjar there just in that 10th spot right now. Esteban Ocon trying to have a look around him, but it's super critical that we try and get these tyres up to temperature, get them up to scrub in a good, clean and consistent way there. Otherwise we're just going to be on the back foot for a huge majority of the afternoon. But yeah, Bortoleto's on the hards. I think Carlos Sainz up in front's on the hards. Alonso is as well. So there is a lot of strategy it's kind of all up in the air here. Oscar Piastri, though, having a terrible start to the Grand Prix is... Yeah, I can't really blame Hadjar for turning in me there. I just didn't want to lose my wing running into the back of him. So, yeah, a little bit of contact between the two V-car drivers early on. But Verstappen has claimed the lead then and bolted up at the front of the order. I think that's Hamilton that has got through and moved up into P2 as well then, as Andrea Kimi Antonelli obviously had a bit of a battle with him yesterday in the sprint. Are we going to get another one today? Yes, we are, especially if he wants to try and have a look around the outside. I'm actually going to do the same thing, though, to Isaac Hadjar, though, down at the final corner. But still really struggling there. Opening couple of laps are going to be brutal if you're on the harder compound, just because it does take a while to kind of grip up around this track, as immediately then Hadjar trying to have a look around the outside of Sainz back in towards turn 1. That would be a brave move if our teammate can make it happen there. Can I get down the inside, though, of Carlos, who would try and keep the car wedged on the curb? And look at that, Carlos Sainz there getting swallowed up by V-carbs through turn 1. One of them's definitely made it happen, and so has the other. Let's get a weather update.
There's a few lap outs yet, but it is coming, so be careful. Dry's definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
That is not reassuring then, so team believe the rain is not that far away. And that, I mean, I was hoping it would be 20 minutes out. Go purple through that middle sector then, so we are clearly building up some speed. So once again, you can see lots of battles going on in front. That's Ollie Behrman having a go at it on Lando Norris there. So, well, Haas is, like I've said, they've done well here before inside this series, and with both of their cars up inside your top 10 at the moment, doing pretty well. But we will jump Hadjar then and up into that final points paying spot. But yeah, I think Norris and maybe Piastri both opted for the hard compounded tyres, so nobody really kind of knows what's going to happen with the weather today. Just everybody's taken a different gamble with it. Not another one. How many DRS failures am I going to have? One in the sprint, now one in the Grand Prix. Oh, sorry, one in Grand Prix qualifying even. And one now in the Grand Prix. This doesn't bode well, does it?
Not to be able to open the rear wing. We're working on a fix.
Oh, we are going to be a sitting duck down this straight then, and it might be worth slotting him back behind Isaac Hadjar here. As Ocon trying to now get a run on his former teammate Fernando Alonso. All I can really do is drain some battery on Prey. So Ocon, there just gave Fernando a bit of a squeeze. And that meant Alonso had to get on the brakes a bit earlier than I was expecting. Very, very lucky not to lose our wing in that scenario. I mean, this front DRS zone isn't as important.
I'll keep you updated as conditions change.
I mean, look at that then. We know the Aston Martin's pretty much a dog in a straight line, but plenty of speed against Fernando there. We got him in the sprint, and now we're back ahead of him in the race as well. Well, I think both Haas cars then have opted to start this race on a set of the soft compound tyres, so they're definitely praying. I mean, I'm sure Ayu Komatsu is down in the pit lane doing a rain dance right now. Hoping to get some good luck for his drivers, but Russell now has moved back past Ollie Behrman, and you can see Lando Norris beginning to pull away as well, so these guys are vulnerable. I mean, the soft compound tyre will only probably go about 8 laps here, and that's if you really try and push it. It's to the inside of Esteban Ocon. Oh, we try and have a go, but I just have not got the speed back in towards turn 1 without the DRS assistance. Can I get to the inside of him, though? I'm sure those soft compound tyres are really beginning to overheat. I wanted to commit to the inside of Behrman as well, but unable to do so. I'll take just the 1 spot gained, even without the DRS then. Let's see if we can get a run on Ollie Behrman, as he has lost the range of George Russell ahead of him. Good thing is, I don't think Russell is in DRS range of Lando Norris as well. So, I mean, from 19th on the grid up to P7 here, things are going rather well for us early on in the day. Of course, things, though, can so rapidly change here in Shanghai. I mean, it's one of those races, isn't it, where if you get changeable conditions, this race could be an absolute banger. But otherwise, it can often be a little bit forgettable in Formula 1. But, yeah, DRS, when is that going to be reactivated? It'd be super useful now, just so I can try and keep up with George. We've got yellows further back. I don't know who that is. But a safety car now would be very, very interesting as well. Oh, yes, we've got the DRS back as well, as it looks like Lance Stroll then is going to be our first retirement of the day. So disappointment for the Aston Martin man. He'd opted, I believe, to start on softs there, and well, it's not going to matter for him when the rain comes. So he is out of it, and yet another Mercedes engine going up in smoke. So I just had to be really careful there through the final corner, but there is the rain. As we've got another one, we've got a Williams span, and that is going to be a safety car. A red flag immediately. No idea who that was that span. Well, obviously, I'm sure there'll be a replay up on your screens, but suddenly then this completely changes the chemistry of this race. And it's a good job we pushed as hard as we did early on, otherwise everybody would be in the same boat. Is it even going to be raining? Yes, it is.
We've done all right so far, but this is a chance to take a breath. We've got another half of this race to go, and there's still a big opportunity there.
Well, the team is saying that we want to go full wets, but the Inters, they reckon, is 25 seconds quicker. If everybody else is out on full wets, this might be the perfect strategy for us. It reckons 50 seconds over the rest of this Grand Prix, so we are definitely going to opt for the Inters and see how we get on with them. 20 laps still to go, though, here in Shanghai. Let's see how we get on. Everybody is on full wets. No, 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 no. 5 red lights. And lights out and away we go, and well, pretty much immediately we're going to have an idea as to whether this has worked or not. And look at that, it most definitely has. What on earth are the AI doing? As all Hamilton immediately tries to chop over my nose. Maybe that, no, they've definitely not got enough grip there. That has got to be the dumbest thing I've seen in a very long time inside F1 25. 4 places gained before we even get through turn 1 and turn 2. And once again then, in wet conditions, it looks like it's going to be a battle between Max Verstappen and myself. But I don't think there's going to be much of a battle to be had. I mean, it's barely raining around this circuit, and I'm pretty certain the rain is meant to stop again pretty soon. As making our way up the hill there, oh, Verstappen's taken me out! And once again, our rivalry from last season rearing its ugly head. Max Verstappen just completely came across me, and contact between a Red Bull and a V-Carb, not for the first time in Formula 1, and suddenly we are on the back foot once again then. as we're going to have to opt for a fresh set of the intermediate tyre right now. But will all of the AI pit as well? Will they have realised that it's not the way to go? But I'm not happy with Max Verstappen there. That is ridiculous. Made it very clear very early which side of him I was going, and he just steadily moved across until I had nowhere else to go. Again, I know we had a rivalry last season, but for two different teams now, he has still taken a very, very immature stance about getting beaten in this sport. Will we see any of the AI, though, into the pit lane at the end of lap 9, as suddenly this race goes from pretty decent to crazy to even crazier? Verstappen, he's going to be the one that has to make the call up at the front of the order, and he's not pitting. Hamilton, no, I think that's Leclerc, sorry, is in. So one of the Ferraris, I think, yep, that is Lewis Hamilton then, into the pit lane as well. Will they be going over to the intermediates? No one else is pitting, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on then, but DRS is enabled. What on earth is happening in this race? Ferrari have made a good strategy choice for once in their lives, and this race is just turning into utter pandemonium, as Hamilton's going to effectively be out in a huge net lead, because surely this lap he's even going to get a big undercut on everybody else. It was Sainz that binned it. DRS is disabled again. What on earth is happening? This is anarchy out in Shanghai. And why is it always races here end up being complete chaos? How are none of the AI seeing the pace that Hamilton and I have got at this stage of the race then? First lap out of the pit lane, we took near enough 6 seconds out of Pierre Gasly. Hamilton as well were actually slightly quicker than, but I did use a lot of battery on that lap. But yeah, if none of the AI pit, I can't work out whether the rain's meant to be getting heavier and heavier, or whether it's just going to be like this for a strong majority of the afternoon. But I can understand them not wanting to do it if only I've gone for the strategy gamble. But one of their own has done it, and it's still not working.
ETA on this rain clearing up is about 10 minutes, so just keep your concentration out there. You're doing well.
Well, there we go then. I think it's going to get worse for the AI before it gets better. That rain meant to be drying up pretty soon. And often what we see then in this game is that the AI will make one pit stop over to Inters, and then literally the lap after go to dries as well. So Hamilton and I have basically already caught up with the back of the pack. No idea why Hamilton's still struggling for pace now, obviously, until he gets right under Pierre Gasly's rear wing. But despite the contact, despite the front wing damage, there is still a huge opportunity for us to win this afternoon. We've just got to keep pushing. I mean, I cannot get over the fact that VCarb and Ferrari, they will literally have all of the data from the two cars right now, and should be able to connect the dots that the Inters are better than the full wets at this stage. I mean, it was never full wet conditions inside this game. They even enabled the DRS temporarily, despite the fact that all of the AI were on full wet zone. I mean, look at that. It's like we're in a different category against Pierre Gasly by the time we get through turn 1 and turn 2. The one, of course, I'm more interested in trying to get by, of course, is Lewis Hamilton, just because obviously he's actually a rival currently in terms of performance there. But Bortoleto trying to hold up the honorary Brazilian. And you can see, yeah, on the minimap how much time we're taking out of Verstappen and co as well. A little bit further up, I've just got to be careful. I don't want to risk damage in the wing. As well, Hamilton there tries to step out from behind Gabriel Bortoleto and immediately goes skating off on a damper part of the circuit. Luckily, these Inters, there is enough grip that you can make moves happen. And there we go, up another one. This is a corner where I never am able to keep up with the AI. And in these conditions, Franco Colapinto, look at that, we're actually losing nothing against him by the time we get out onto the back straight then. Half distance in this race. I don't think we'll be able to get these Inters right the way to the end. But depending on when the AI switch, maybe they won't be able to either there, as Colapinto probably braking about 20 meters earlier than I need to. I mean, look at that. We even got to the apex. We went all the way around his outside and still were able to get to the apex. That's how much more performance we've got at this stage of the afternoon, as Yuki Tsunoda, of course, started alongside me on the back row on the same strategy at the start. Hasn't quite gone the same way for him up to this point. As can we have a look all the way around the outside of the Red Bull down at turn 1 and turn 2? Probably not the side of him I should have gone. I should have just tried to get down the inside, but on the damp stuff, we will get all the way around. And up another one. It's just ridiculous. How on earth? I know I've seen it a few times before on this game, but how can the AI make a strategy blunder like this? How can all of them, apart from Ferrari, make a strategy blunder like this, as Albon, tried to look back around the outside there, not able to make it happen. How we do exactly to halt what we did to his teammate just one lap ago to the inside. I mean, we could just be able to slide to the apexes ahead of cars here, and there's nothing they can do. A little bit gutted for Isaac Hadjar. If I could, I'd be on the team telling him, get Isaac into the pit lane, because he could be on for a huge result as well this afternoon if he opted for it. I mean, yeah, Hamilton didn't have any wing damage or anything like that, so I've got no idea kind of what triggered it for Ferrari, but for nobody else to make the switch here. But hopefully Isaac isn't going to make it too difficult for me to try and make our way through. I think I can see Leclerc and Norris have, Leclerc and Piastri even having a bit of a battle further up the road. So there's definitely a little bit of racing going on between the AI, and it's actually Ocon who's running up in 5th spot, so he's looking for yet another Chinese Grand Prix success. Will we get Ollie Behrman, though, out of the final corner? I mean, we're just making moves everywhere, aren't we? But they're so easy. It's like a multi-class race at the moment. We're just flying past people. And yeah, it's like they're in a different category. Oh, there you go. There you go, Yuki Tsunoda. He's finally made the call. I don't know why he's decided to make the call now of all times, but Yuki Tsunoda then in that Red Bull, trying to maybe give himself a bit of luck throughout the second half of the afternoon. Of course, disappointing the mechanical failure after the podium on his return to the Red Bull team last weekend. But yeah, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, though, you can just see like everybody else, there just isn't enough grip. You have to be so tentative, as I reckon there's only about 10 minutes of this rain, so surely the AI aren't going to try and go back to the dry period on a set of full wets there. Can we get underneath the Mercedes man? Yes, we can. Just to get him onto the slightly slipperier line, as we will be side by side then on the exit of the corner. But are we going to be able to get the run? Trying to drain the battery. Honda power versus Mercedes power as we make our way down the back straight. Looks like now Oscar Piastri has moved up to the lead of the Grand Prix. So Piastri absolutely cooking at this stage. But still, none of our front runners eaten. Just know full well, Fernando Alonso, he would be one of those drivers that would be immediately asking the question about what pace others are doing, what tyres he should be on. One of the kind of drivers that is always so aware of everything going on around him. Always looking about where he can gain as well there. But he's not going to gain a spot this time around. In fact, he's going to lose one, as we will get down the inside there. And up then into P7. Yeah, Verstappen now really struggling. So I don't know if he got some damage as well from the contact we made earlier on. And is maybe now starting to fare the brunt of his actions. But just everybody else, though, still tiptoeing around. I mean, Hamilton, he's made some progress, but really does seem to have got a little bit stuck at this stage of the race. Oh, we got another spinner and a safety car. Oh, that might not be good. That might give all of the AI an opportunity to dive into the pit lane there, as I think that's Alexander Albon that maybe went round. So both Williams then in the wars so far this afternoon. Will we see anybody in? Yes, they do. Oscar Piastri into the pit lane. Everybody's diving into the pit lane then, so we still should take the lead of the Grand Prix. But what are they going to be pitting onto? That is the real question. Surely they're going inters. Surely Oscar Piastri is going to be on a set of inters. Yes, he is. So we've still got an advantage out of this. I've got to remember about the delta. But we're not going to have as much of an advantage as we were. Well, there we go then. By the end of lap 19, safety car going to be peeling back into the pit lane. I'm going to try and let those guys right at the back of the field close in. But Hamilton and I now from the rear of the field up to P1 and P2. It has been a gamble up to this point that has really paid off for us. But I mean, look at that. It's pretty much stopped raining now. Is the track going to dry up again before the end of this race there? As I want to try and go green flag racing as soon as we can there. Hopefully try and keep Lewis Hamilton caught napping a little bit. But I don't think you're a million miles away from dry conditions. I did debate whether it was going to be worth pitting under the safety car. But I was just worried we were going to head back out and the circuit was going to be ice cold. But immediately trying to pull away then a little bit of a gap over Lewis. I need the team to be decisive when it comes to pit stop strategy. Oh, okay then, so the team reckon we are basically right there. I reckon if we can blitz this lap, it might be worth diving in. I've already got the mediums set ready to go, but could it be worth instead using a set of soft compound tyres? Don't think they'd last that well for 8 laps right the way through to the end of the Grand Prix. But we've just got to run like hell once again. And dare I say it, could win number 2 of the season be on the cards. So tricky to work it out. You just don't want to gamble it too early and potentially get screwed over. I think until the team are a bit more decisive, we've got to stay out on the intermediate. But I think if we gambled to go to the dry under the safety car, then it could have been a really good choice once again there, as Piastri now trying to move his way past Lewis Hamilton. Of course, lost the win at home, or lost a chance of the victory at home, thanks to a mechanical issue. But Hamilton again, still trying to defend it, and will hang on for now. 3 seconds clear by the end of the opening lap off the restart. Things are looking pretty good. Team now recommending we go to mediums, so they think that's we're ready now for the dry compound tyres. I'm going to opt for a set of softs though, I think, just so we've got a bit more grip, a bit more pickup off the restart there, as Hamilton still on the back foot, still struggling to keep Oscar Piastri at bay. But surely we're going to see most cars into the pit lane then come the end of this lap. I mean, how many seconds off the dry delta are we? Could it be worth just staying out here right the way through to the very end? I'm not convinced. I think especially for us, just because of these tyres, it's probably not worth the gamble then. But into the pit lane we will come, and nobody else is doing so. Oh, yes, they are. Okay. That got me a bit nervous then, just for a second. Hamilton trying to brave it out. So is Russell and Lando Norris then, as I think some cars are pitting, others aren't. VCarb, though, looks to be one of the only teams that's taking the gamble to bring both cars in one go. So we need a pretty clean, tidy pit stop by the boys and girls down at the team. And that's exactly what they've done.
Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
As everybody else, rather oddly, has gone over to hard compound tyres. But as we come back out to the circuit, FIA believe it's also ready to activate the DRS. So Gasly and Tsunoda, 8 seconds up the road. How much quicker are we through those first couple of corners? Not much. But I'm not losing anything. Always in Formula 1, you have to be on the right tyre at the right time, and that is exactly what we have done all weekend so far. Not worried about anything else other than just being on the right compound for the conditions here. And now, as everybody else, apart from George Russell and I believe Pierre Gasly, dive into the pit lane, then we are going to be back up into the podium places. I've taken another second out of Piastri on this opening lap, and looking at the tyre wear, we should be good. Sorry, it's Antonelli then up to the front of the order, so I guess it's nice for him that he gets to lead a couple of laps. But yeah, Oscar Piastri there really losing out in all of that. Hamilton just coming out still in what will probably be P3. I mean, couldn't Antonelli try and go to the end? He's got 20 seconds over Lando Norris. I don't think he'd be able to make that work. I mean, to be fair to Andrea Kimi Antonelli, I think he could gamble this. We're barely taking anything out of him at this stage of the Grand Prix there. The gap's still 12 seconds between myself and our race leader, but he's not going to try it. Andrea Kimi Antonelli into the pit lane, and Gasly is going to follow. Sometimes fortune favours the brave. Neither the Italian or the Frenchman feeling that brave this afternoon. 5 laps remaining then of the Chinese Grand Prix, and all we've got to do now is keep the car on the island, and we are looking pretty good for a second victory in a row. One more lap to go then here from Shanghai. The gap to Hamilton and Norris has been coming down, but I think we should be able to control this pace right the way through to the checkered flag. Once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence. If we could do it 3 times next time out in Japan, then it becomes a bit of a pattern inside this series. I refuse to believe that we've got that kind of capability still in this car at the moment, but once again, strategy has absolutely played into our hands here, and from 19th on the grid, well, we are less than a lap away from victory once again here, and further cementing ourselves as not only a championship threat, but also a championship favourite early on this season. Do feel a bit disappointed for Isaac Hadjar. Ultimately, I think double stacking ultimately really screwed him over when all is said and done. And if, you know, going up against a 2-time world champion was never going to be easy for him. But it feels like he's kind of getting the Verstappen treatment. And Yuki Tsunoda last weekend, actually being Verstappen's teammate, ended up finishing directly behind him. Not quite going to happen today for Yuki. But he's still going to get a pretty good result, and once again, tries Verstappen might to ruin my chances. We dug deep, we reign supreme We kept our head down, and as we make our way out into the back straight, Hamilton is incredibly close. He's actually pushing a lot right towards the end of the afternoon. We've had a bit of time to enjoy this one though today, leading laps late on. I'm happy that Ferrari have also been able to pay dividends from their gamble with Lewis, because it was absolutely the right call to make when we dived in as well. Through the final corner though, here in Shanghai, 2 for 2 to kickstart the year. The first ever multi-win season for VCarb. Get in there.
He smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take victory here in Shanghai.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
As we await the winners to take their positions on the podium, one thing is clear today. RB have really shown their prowess on the track. This is a team that isn't afraid to take risks, whether that's on the circuit or in the new talents they hire. Today, those risks certainly paid off.
Well, there we go then. All 3 Brits on the podium come the checkered flag. 5 Brits inside your top 10. Pretty happy with that. Very, very happy with the execution this afternoon. But it was as much about the team on the pit wall as it was about us on the track there. Lewis Hamilton, 7/10 away from victory, returning to Ferrari. So he'll be a little bit gutted. But Lando Norris then back on the podium for the first time this season. Antonelli, despite going long, I still think he genuinely could have won this race had he opted to stay out there, because our pace really did fall apart right towards the checkered flag. Alonso, though, in P5 makes it 5 drivers from 5 different teams all inside your top 5 come the checkered flag, with Leclerc, Russell, Piastri, Verstappen and Ollie Behrman all inside your top 10 there. Colapinto narrowly misses out on his first points of the season as well. Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll, of course, both DNFing from the race, and Albon with that spin a little bit early on, never quite able to recover and ended up down in P17. But what does that do to our World Championship standings? 18 clear of Lando Norris now, who moves up to P2. Hamilton, yes, some big points for him as well, up to 3rd ahead of Verstappen, as the ever-consistent Alonso now up to 5th spot overall. Charles Leclerc, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Russell and Piastri all inside your top 10, with Sainz and Hadjar as well as Ollie Behrman, all with points on the board. Constructors-wise, though, VCarb now 5 points ahead of Ferrari, who are a further 5 ahead of McLaren. Red Bull, an absolute disaster, came into the Grand Prix first, leave it all the way down in P4. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns for the Japanese Grand Prix. Can we make it 3 wins in a row?